Hi guys, and welcome to this week's deep dive. Today I'm joined by a very good friend of mine who has got a new trick out. To be honest with you, I could be having the same person on almost every week, saying exactly the same thing. One of the most creative guys in the magic business. It's Mr. Craig Petty. But before we get Craig Petty on board, if you haven't done so already, please remember to like and subscribe, and if you haven't done so already, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time we go live with the deep dive and any other video on our channel. So without further ado, let's introduce my good friend Mr. Craig Petty. Hello, Craig.
Mr. Nardi, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. How are you? This feels weird. The tables are turning. It's me asking the questions now.
Yeah, I don't like not being in the driver's seat. You know, this is weird. But thanks for having me on. Like I said to you, I'm a huge fan of the deep dive. I think it's really good. I think it's the one thing that Alakazam was missing, because you guys are doing so much on Facebook and Instagram, and I was like, you need a YouTube show, and this is great. And I had to ring you up and go, I want to be on the deep dive. So I'm so glad I'm here. I really am.
Do you know what? I'm really enjoying the deep dives because as well as I do, getting inside the mind of creators is great. For people that create, we love to know how each other thinks. And that's what these deep dives are turning into for me. It's more, all right, we talk about the trick a bit, we play the trailer, but it's more about getting to know you and your creative process. And that's what really excites me. So the deep dive for me is, I'm sort of doing it for myself, but the only way I can get to speak to people is say, I'll put you on my YouTube channel. If I just said, can you talk to me? They'll go, no. So I better set this up and record it. So, the thing is, Craig, you are, I would say you are the most prolific creator around today. I don't think there's anyone that is creating as much commercial material as you are at the moment. The only person I could think that maybe was at one point was Sankey. If you go back sort of 10, 15 years ago, every week there was a Jay Sankey effect. But nowadays it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And the good thing about your material as well is it's so varied. It's not as if it's 100 items and it's like 100 items all based on one theme, but you're doing it with a red card, a blue card, a green card, and whatever. It's all different stuff. Coin tricks, mentalism, card trick, like literally everything. So what goes on up there?
Well, I think the most important thing is trying not to force it. I meet creators and they sit there and they go, right, I need to create something. And they have nothing comes to them and they can get really frustrated. I don't try and kind of force that creative process. I think one of the most important things is looking for inspiration. Inspiration can hit at any time, like absolutely at any time. It might be watching a trick from somebody else and you go, well, hang on a minute, it'd be great if I did that way. It might be watching a film, it might be going out shopping, it might be whatever it is. There's a million different things where creativity can or inspiration can strike. I have a creativity board, and on that creativity board, every stupid idea I've had, I actually write on there, because I don't want to forget those stupid ideas, because they could turn into something else. And then what I'll do is I'll go back to that creative board all of the time. So because here's the thing, you could be working on something forever and ever and ever, and it wouldn't work out for you, or you don't know how to fix this particular problem. And if that's the case, I'll shelve it, put it to one side. It'll still be on the board, but I'll put it to one side. I'll go and work on something else, and then I'll go back to it. And I'm sure everyone's had that moment where you've been working on a site and you can't get it to work. And you go back to it a week later and now suddenly you can do it. And sometimes it's important to take a step back in order to take a step forward. And it's not just slights, it's the same with creativity. Sometimes if you're working on the same problem over and over again, you just need a bit of space away from it. But yeah, I won't sit down with a deck of cards and go, right, I'm going to create the best ambitious card in the world. I couldn't do that. But what I can do is I can find inspiration, and then I'll get excited about one particular thing. And normally it's a particular genre, and I'll go crazy. So, for example, at the moment, I'm going mad for key tricks. I'm coming up with so many different tricks with keys, and like I'm just sitting down there. I'm surrounded everywhere with keys. It's always something. The other thing that I like to do, and you know this because we've worked together on stuff like this, and this is something I like to do for fun, is take something that's a well-established thing and then see what I can actually do with it. And I think that's important for every magician to do. So you look at the Visible project on the Invisible deck, or you look at Cheeky on the Cheek to Cheek deck, or you look at the Beyond Stebbins project on the Stebbins deck, or you look at Forecast on the Memrise deck, or you look at the new one that's coming out soon on one of your favorite gaff decks that I'm doing for Alakazam. All of this stuff, it started with me going, okay, this is a Cheek to Cheek deck. What does it do? It does this. Okay. So if I can't do that, what can I do with it? How can I take this prop and do something different to it? And what would that look like? And is there something I can add to that prop that would make it work better? So with the Beyond Stebbins project, it was taking a Stebbins deck and adding roughing fluid on the back, which added a complete extra dimension. With the Cheeky project, it was taking a Cheek to Cheek deck and making it stripped. So you take something that everybody's doing, you discard the way that everyone's doing it, and then you think about what you can add to it to make it something different, and then what is that capable of doing? And I think not enough people do that in Magic. One of two things happens. You buy the trick, you watch the tutorial, you watch the performance, and you do it that way. And that's the way you do it. It's why so many people do the Invisible deck by throwing out an Invisible deck, because that's the way that everyone does it. It's the established way of doing the Invisible deck. It's why the Invisible deck became the Invisible deck as opposed to the Ultra Mental deck or whatever it was, because of that presentation. But if you took those tricks that you put in your bottom drawer and actually looked at them in a different light, or you took those tricks that everybody else is doing and you do it in a different way, well, that's when you can have something magical happen, and that helps flex your creative muscles. And creativity, in my opinion, is a muscle. People go to the gym to work out. I don't, as you can tell, but people go to the gym to work out, and they flex their muscles, and they get bigger, and they can lift more, and they can run faster, and they can run longer and not get tired. You have to flex your creativity muscles. You have to set creative exercises for yourself. And I think the only other thing that I can say regarding all of this is, don't rush to be the next Jay Sankey. Don't rush to be the next Greg Wilson. Don't rush. You know as well as me, how many times have somebody come to you and said, hey, I've got this idea, and it's a half-assed idea. It's not great. It doesn't really work. And, it's because they're desperate to have this release out, because in this industry, we put creators on pedestals. Oh my God, it's Jay Sankey. Oh my God, it's Greg Wilson. Oh my God, it's Bill Abbott. Oh my God, it's Chris Congreve. It's Steve Dell, whatever it is. We put these creators on pedestals, and new people come into Magic. And I've met people that have been in Magic for like a month, and their goal isn't to be a performer; it's to be a creator, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't rush the process. And you can't really be a creator without being a performer in some capacity. Now, I'm not saying that you go out and gig every night like I do, but you have to perform the tricks that creating a magic trick will only take you so far. There is going to be a point where you're kind of going to go, it's the best it can be sitting here at my desk working on it. Now I need to show it to somebody. Now I need to get feedback. Now I need to see if I do that, the amount of tricks that I've created, and in my head, it's perfect. And then I go and I perform it to somebody, and it's not as good as I thought it was. And the one example I'll give you is when I first put my illusion show together. I had the idea of doing a crystal casket, which, if you don't know, is a way of making a girl appear in a see-through box. Yeah. You throw a cloth over it, make a girl appear. And at the time, I'd been watching Greg Wilson's cabaret show, and he opens the cabaret show by taking out a paper bag, and opening it up and taking out a party popper and a hat, and then he produces a bottle of wine. And I thought, hey, can I do that with a crystal casket? And I spent a fortune buying party banners and party hats, and I had this whole It's a Party music, and the whole idea is I'd run out, I'd spin the box, I'd put a cloth over it, I'd reach in, I'd take out a banner for the box that said party time, I'd take out a hat, I'd take out party blowers, I'd reach in and take out a bottle of beer, another bottle of beer, and then finally I'll pull the cloth off and the girl's there, and I'm like, now it's time to party. And in my head, it was the greatest thing of all time, and it was going to make me the most famous illusionist ever. And you know what? I filmed it and I watched it back, and it was just dreadful. And I just cringed watching it. And I was like, well, I've just spent £100 on party stuff for absolutely no reason at all. But people don't do that. They create these tricks, and they just, I spoke to Scott Alexander about this a little while ago, and him and I both said there is going to be a trick somewhere out there, probably on a partner program like Penguin or something, where somebody has woke up in the morning with a trick, an idea. They've gone and got a camera and they've filmed it. They've created a tutorial and a video for it. They've uploaded it to a partner program like Penguin, and in the afternoon, it's actually for sale. And that's the worst thing that you can do, because your reputation is so important to you. Trust me, I know, because I've ruined my reputation in the past more than once by doing stupid stuff. You want to be a creator? You've only got one chance to make a first impression. Make that first trick really great. Make it the best trick it can be, because then people will want more. So sorry, I've spent the last 10 minutes just blabbering away.
No, that was great though, and it's really good information, because I mean, we have a lot of things sent in that are fantastic ideas. Like, the idea is there, but it just needs more work. It's like, that's why sometimes Alexander buys the rights to tricks and then we work on them. So I'll buy the rights if I like the premise. I can like the premise, but I don't like the method or whatever, and I'll buy the rights because I'll think, well, I can come up with another method, or together we can come up with another method. And you're right. I think you need to show it about, and you need to get the reactions, and even then sometimes, because you get very when you're a creator, especially when you're starting out, I think you get very clouded by your own creation. You create something and you think this is the best thing, and you've got to be able to separate that, because I would say out of the items I create, 1 out of 25 most probably hit the market.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
The others, the amount of stuff that just ends up just not working.
Yeah, or on the shelf, like you said earlier, that you sort of go, yeah, that's a bit of a stumbling block. We'll come back to that at another time. But the creative process for both of us, I know, is something we love. And you're more creative than most, I would say, because even when you come up with an idea, most people, me included, I tend to come up with an idea for a trick. And that trick's usually, for me, I'm exactly the opposite to what you said. I don't sit there and go, I've got to create a trick to perform. To sell. I create a trick because I want to perform that trick. You know, I can't sit there. If I sat down to create a trick, I would get writer's block. I can't just sit there and do it. It will come to me. I'll look at something, I'll do something, and I'll get an idea. And I don't really know what my point was I was trying to make, because I just went off on a tangent. But but no, I was saying you are very creative, because not only do you, with most of us, we'll create the trick we want to create and we'll go, okay, that's it. Whereas you will come to me with a coin set, let's say, but with that coin set, there's 15 tricks. Yeah. So it's like your mind never stops playing with the gimmick, and most of us do. With an invisible deck, we buy it, we go, oh, that's a great trick. Whereas you'll go, yeah, it's great. What else could I do with this? And then you create, 15 tricks using this deck. And I think that's a real talent, and it shows you've got a reputation of having huge tutorials. I mean, some of them are like 6 hours of footage and learning and effects. And I mean, that's pretty much unheard of. really. I don't know any other magician that puts that much content into one product. And I think that's why you've got such an amazing reputation as a creator, and your name sells the product. If people know there's a Craig Petty product coming out, they know they're going to get value for money. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, from our point, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you on stuff. So this new one, Edceight. Now, you sent me a prototype of it, I don't know, maybe even a year ago. And I know the version that's coming out, which I will remind you, I haven't got yet, has got even more built into it.
It has.
Than the one I had.
Yeah.
And the one I had was fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's I think on the subject of EDC, you have to know your limitations as a creator as well.
Yeah.
And you have to know what you're good at, and you have to know what you're not so good at. And you're right, I've created mentalism in the past, and I love mentalism. I love watching it, and I love thinking through the process. And I'm fairly well read when it comes to mentalism. I've read all of the 13 steps of mentalism, and I've read all of the color series by Max Maven. Hundreds of mentalism books, or a lot of them. But I have to accept that I'm not a mentalist. And there are things about mentalism that I don't know. I love creating mentalism, but if you think about some of the mentalism that I've created, Gossip and Playlist, Trivia are three good examples. They're very much, if you look at the live performances, I'm performing them in a very much a mental magic style way.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit a hardcore mentalist. And I was speaking to Pete Turner about this about a year ago, and he said, your stuff is amazing. I love performing it. Your mentalism is amazing, but I wouldn't perform it the way you perform it. And this project, Edceight, I really wanted it to be something that would appeal to everybody. The reason it's called Edceight is because it's receipts, which are an everyday carry, and you can keep them in your in your wallet or your pocket, or so on and so forth. And we can talk about exactly what it is, because we've been very honest on the trailer. There's no ambiguity or shades of grey at all. But I wanted it to be a big project. But I wanted it to be a big project that the information was on there wasn't just coming from me, but it was also coming from people that are infinitely better at mentalism than I will ever be. So that you've got such a range of eclectic ideas. So the biggest thing that I'm proud of with this project is I've kind of assembled a supergroup, kind of like the Avengers of Magic or the Avengers of Mentalism. I've assembled a supergroup. I've assembled a supergroup of who I consider to be the best mentalists on the planet and the best performers on the planet, who came together to make this. I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe it's running at 8 hours of tutorial.
Wow.
So, yeah. And you have myself. I think I've got about 2.5 hours worth of material on there. You've got Simon Lipkin, who is currently over at Columbus filming for Penguin. He's an amazing, I'm sure a lot of people know Simon, an amazing mentalist. Just finished a run on the West End in Elf, just an amazing guy. So you got Simon Lipkin. Yourself, obviously, you know how much I respect you as a mentalist. I mean, for many, many years, it's changing slightly now through choice.
Yeah.
But for many years, Alakazam was considered the shop for mentalism. Now with Mirage Coinset and a lot of the other stuff you do, it's got a more of an eclectic reputation. But for a long time, you think of Alakazam as and that's a big part, because you, Pete, you gravitate towards mentalism, and a lot of your biggest projects, Stealth Assassin and Mindbuster and all of these things, mentalism based. So wanted you on the project, absolutely 100%. You're amazing. Pete Turner, who, I mean, it's Pete Turner, right? I mean, he's one of the greatest living mentalists in the world, in my opinion. And by the way, Pete has 2 hours of tutorial just to himself. Just 2 hours of Pete Turner. And you know what? I was speaking to my friend Nemeth, and he got a chance to see a lot of this stuff beforehand. And he turned around to me and he said, if I didn't have any props and I didn't have anything else, that 2 hours with Pete, just listening to that, would have been more than worth the price of admission alone. Forget about everything else. So you got Pete Turner on there. Michael Murray submitted. I mean, there you go, another genius of mentalism. Michael Murray has put some amazing ideas on the project as well. Mark Lemon, a lot of people don't know Mark Lemon, but I mean, he's just come out of working for a long time with Illusionist. Mark has got an incredible brain for mentalism and has also spent a long time working with the binary system, which is what we have here. Then you have Javier Fuenmayor, who you might know as being the host of a lot of the Murphy's projects, but also an incredible magician in his own right and gravitates towards mentalism. Lloyd Barnes, I mean, everybody knows Lloyd, and he's brought a visual twist to this as well. He's actually been able to make mentalism visible and visual, which is just insane. He's got so many wonderful ideas. So it's an 8-hour project, not just my ideas. Yes, the concept of Edceight was born with me, but it's more about having all of these people coming together. And there must be 50, 60, 70, 80 different ideas throughout the 8 hours from all these different performers that address all of the different ways to approach what the actual trick is. So for me, that's the biggest value in the project, the fact that it is a project and it's not just me. And I haven't really seen anything like that before, or at least not for a long time. No, I don't think. Illusionist had the gaff deck thing, and it was like Wayne
Loops project
back in the day.
Yeah.
But this is the first time in a long time that I've seen some really big names in magic and mentalism come together on one project.
Do you know what? I think it's such an amazing idea to bring all these people in, because, whenever I create something, I'll show a few people. So I'll show you, I'll show Spellman, obviously Harry and Andy, and we've all got a small group, and every single one of you will come up with an idea that I didn't think of. And that's purely because as a creator, you tend to go down one track. You've got your vision for what the effect has to be. And sometimes it's very hard to get off that road. You've got your starting point, you've got your ending point, and that's what you're working towards. And when you show someone else, they will see it in a completely different light to you, because they haven't followed that process you're following. So I think it's such a great idea to introduce other creators into a project, because you are going to get a wealth of information. And not only that, you're going to get such an eclectic mix of routines and ideas, because everyone's vision for that effect is different. Yeah. Everyone's vision is different. I think it's such a brilliant thing to do, and it should happen more in this industry, because what a great way. And no matter how simple the prop, you show that prop to 5 different people, you'll get 5 different ways of doing it, because they'll each see it differently with their own style and touches. I think you've made a really good choice there, and you might have actually started a new trend. I think when this comes out, I think people will go for that. I can't wait. I haven't seen the finished project yet. You've shown me bits and bobs of it. I haven't seen it all. I know it's released. This is going out on. So we're on this Sunday. I know that doesn't mean anything to
those watching. It went up for pre-order through Alakazam and everyone
this
on
Friday. Friday just gone.
And I think it gets shipped out to everybody the following Monday. I think it is.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
So it's currently on pre-order over at our website. I'll tell you what, shall we watch the trailer? Because you're pretty open about everything on the trailer as well. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to talk about exactly what people are getting, because this isn't like a product where we're trying to hide the secret. We're open about exactly what it is. It's more about, you're not going to believe what you can do with these. You're not going to believe the routines and the ideas. So, yeah, but I'm more than happy to talk about it very openly and talk about what the secret is and everything. It might be worthwhile looking at the first of all.
Okay, let's take a look at the trailer and then we'll be back and we'll discuss it in a bit more detail. Here we go.
Look at these reactions. Now think about this, you didn't write it down, you didn't tell anyone, you could have literally thought of anything. You thought of one thing and one thing only. You're thinking of mature cheddar cheese. You keep your Scotch pancakes. It's garlic bread. There you go, boom.
Edceight is the definition of packs small, plays big. This is exactly what happens. The spectator thinks of any item from a couple of receipts that you keep in your wallet. And with no fishing or memory work, you know exactly what item they are thinking of. It is that clean, it is that direct, it is that powerful.
You're going to take the receipts and you're going to pick one of them. I'm going to look away. If you want to check them all out, you can see that they're all different. They are genuine receipts. I'm going to look away. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I bought on that shopping trip. What I want you to do is pick one of those things. Anyone. It's totally up to you. Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. Don't write it down. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Have you got one?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, and don't tell anyone. Don't write it down. And if you're not happy, you can change it for a different one. But you're happy with that one?
I'm happy with that one.
Cool. If it's on a receipt, put it here. Now think about this, you didn't write it down, you didn't tell anyone, you could have literally thought of anything. You thought of one thing and one thing only. You're thinking of mature cheddar cheese. Garlic bread. There you go. Boom.
So now you've seen the million star signs.
The receipts are designed to look identical to real receipts from real stores. There's US and UK versions available, both made from Tyvek, which means they feel like receipts, but they can't be torn and they will last for years and years. Everyday carry magic and mentalism doesn't really get any better than this. This is Craig Petty's Edceight.
Where you keep your Scotch pancakes.
If you know Josh, I could have said mature.
Yeah, you do very well.
That is so good. So good.
Yeah, that Lloyd Barnes knows how to put a trailer together, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. It's really, really good. So I'm liking the idea they're on Tyvek as well, because my set wasn't.
No, yeah, Tyvek really makes the difference. I mean, we experimented with it because we didn't want to have them not feel like real receipts.
Yeah.
But we went for Tyvek because we tested it out and nobody could tell. Nobody could tell. And on the project, we talk about having other receipts in your wallet as well and other different ways of doing it. We also experimented with the size of the receipts. And initially, we were thinking maybe we make the receipts bigger or smaller, and they're all different sizes. We went for the same size. I mean, this is something that we spent. This was when I went to Murphy's, and me and Murphy's were talking. This was the first thing that I went to them with. I forgot that until a little while ago, but this was the very first project, way before the Quantum Deck. We've been working on this for a very long time to get it just right. And I'm I'll openly tell people what we have here is the binary system built into receipts. So the binary system, you might know it as the calculator cards or the age cards, or you might know it as Powerball 60. A lot of people are aware of Powerball 60. So many creators have used the binary system for some amazing applications. Just recently, in the last few months, Lloyd Barnes used it in Cognito, and Carl Purnell used it with a vanishing ink routine. If you remember Iris by Louis Lavelle through the 1914, that used the binary system in an astrology routine. It's been around for a very long time. The first time I saw it being used with a list of words was in 1941 from something called psychic memory, and they were on pieces of paper. Now we've applied them to receipts, which I don't really want to get into what's been happening recently, but that was there was something done with Genie back in 2012, but we've put it into receipts. Yeah. But we've tried to solve, which is great, because obviously by putting it into receipts instead of into anything else, it means that it's very organic, hence the term EDC. But what we've done on the project is it's not really about what the item is that you're using. It's not really about the principle. It's about how you're going to use it. So anybody who's familiar with the binary system will know that at some point you have to sort those receipts out, right? And there's secret markings built into there, and so on and so forth. But at some point you have to do that sorting system. So we have so many different approaches to this. Some of the approaches you don't even need to sort them out or even have anything to do with it. Like Michael Murray has an amazing idea for this sorting principle, which is just ridiculously awesome. Then you've got Pete Turner. He's got about 3 or 4 ways of doing it. Simon Lipkin's got some great ideas by holding fingers up. Just really, really smart ideas where in many cases you don't even need to do the sorting system. Or if you do, it's how to cover it in a really logical way. Then obviously you have to know what the information is. And we supply a way of actually using a store card as a crib. But again, we go through so many different ways of actually using it. So we've got ways of actually doing it without a crib. We've got ways of actually incorporating it into a borrowed phone or into your own phone. We've got ways of doing it. Javier's got 3 different ways of doing it without actually even needing a crib at all, or even knowing what the person is thinking of. He's got ways of actually doing it where you can put an envelope down on a table, they can think of any receipt, and then you can immediately pick that envelope up, and he's predicted what they're thinking of. So many different approaches to this. And then each individual contributor to the project has gone in a completely different direction with it. Michael Murray has got this great way of combining the receipts with a one-ahead system, using 2 people and using a one-ahead principle so that you just get no misses. And again, he's eliminated that sorting procedure, or he's painted it red, which is just brilliant. Pete has got so many different ideas, including a chair test that you can do on stage, where you get 5 people to come up on stage and you give each one of them a receipt, and you're actually doing it by having them divide themselves into different groups on stage, and they're actually you're having this thing play to the entire audience, and they're doing the sorting for you by getting into groups on stage. Like, brilliant. Just insane stuff. He's got ways of actually using it in social media, ways of actually using it on YouTube. You've applied it to wallets and e-wallets, and with playing cards, which is just amazing. I mean, there's just Lloyd has this super visual thing where he's got a list of things, and they think of anything, and he lights this paper, and they all burn away except for the one they're thinking of. Like, ridiculous. Like, so many different ways to completely hide the principle, take it in a totally different direction. And what's exciting for me about this is you can have 10 people in a room that own Edceight, and because of the information on the tutorial, they could be doing a completely different routine. None of them look like each other, and yet you've all got, you've all got the same principle, really. So, you talk about creativity. It's just really interesting to see how each individual creator has approached what the prop is, in essence.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to see what other contributors have added to it, because I know it's going to be amazing and so different. And yeah, I mean that's what excites me, is seeing how other people's minds work when it comes to approaching, because seeing how they approach it is a learning process for me. You know, that's a learning process for me, and I've always been fascinated with method, and so that's one of the reasons I'm so excited. For one, I want a new set of receipts because mine are near enough worn out. But for two, I want to see how everyone else is approaching it, because I think that's going to be a very exciting thing, certainly for me, on this project. So the general idea is they think of any item from the receipts, they then do this sorting process, and you can tell them, you will know what they're thinking of. What other information can we gather from these receipts?
Well, we thought about putting in a bunch of other stuff on the receipts, like, oh, let's get the price and let's get this and let's get that. But it kind of detracted away from what we wanted the main project to be. Yeah. Which, when you actually think about it, is incredible. Like Pete talks about using this in pre-show as a method for pre-show. And when you think about it, however you're going to use it, it's incredible. Because, like it said in the trailer, there's no fishing, there's no memory work, there's no nothing. So rather than being this whole all-encompassing, you can do this, and by the way, the 1089 force is on there, and if you look in the corner, you're going to see the number 37. Oh, and down there, you're going to see a triangle inside a circle, which detracted away from what the receipts actually. The most important thing for me is they look like real receipts. Yeah. So if you look 100%. At them, they're from real stores. They look just like real receipts. And taking it, like we toyed around with putting QR codes and stuff on them that led to revelations. And we're like, no, that's just muddying the water here. Yeah. That's just taking away. Now, the way that I do it, my personal way of doing it, and as I say, everybody's got a totally different approach. My personal way of doing it is to give them the 5 receipts. And I put an envelope down on the table from the beginning. And I give them the 5 receipts, and I say, look, go back and forth and just think of any one of the items. Have you got one? And they go, yeah. And you go, now, these have been in my wallet for about a week. Sometimes I'll buy the same thing every time I go to the shop. Sometimes I'll buy like once in a blue moon if it's a treat. I don't know how many times this item appears that you bought. But do me a favor, just go and check it out. Have a check. Let me know how many receipts it's on. So they do. And let's say it's on 3 receipts. You go, brilliant. Over there's been an envelope the entire time. You're not going to believe this. And you open up the envelope and you say, and it says on there a piece of card that says the item you're thinking of will be on 3 receipts. Boom. Perfect. Absolutely fantastic. And then you say, of course, the problem is it would be much better if I could tell you what the item is that you're thinking of, which would be impossible because you didn't write it down. You didn't tell me. You didn't say a word. But let's see if we can do something in our imagination. Imagine that you're walking up and down an aisle in a supermarket. And imagine that you take something off the aisle and you look at it. And now imagine that you're going home. You put it on your shelf, and that's what you're doing. And then you can immediately, you're building up to this moment where you can say, well, you'd take it and put it in the fridge, wouldn't you? Yeah, because that's where it lives. It lives in the fridge because it's a cold item. It's something you actually buy. It's mature Edceight. And you saw the reactions on the trailer. When you tell them this, and from their point of view, there's been no procedure. Yeah. And when you tell them exactly what it is they're thinking about, it's crazy. But I mean, we've got a really, me and Pete have a really nice way of doing this. And I'll share it with people. I don't care. I'll share it with people. He's got this incredible idea with digital forceback. So he combines it with digital forceback to do this really fun mental thing that's just mad. That's very Pete Turner. And off that idea, I have this way of doing it that, and this is now my favorite way of doing it actually, which is I have a notes page in my phone, and I just have, there's 30 different products across the different receipts. I just have in my phone 1 to 30, and I have a URL on each number to a different Amazon link for that item. without getting too much into how binary code works, each product has got a different numerical value, which you find out during the course of the presentation. So you eventually have a numerical value. You don't need to know this, there's no crib. You don't need to know what that numerical value is. You don't need to find out that information. All you need to do is know what that numerical value is. When you know what that numerical value is through that sorting procedure, you're going to use, do you remember that Andy Nyman technique, Pete, where you go to write something down and your pen doesn't work, so you have to kind of grab a different pen or go in a different direction? Well, you do that. So you go to write something down, you realize your pen doesn't work, and you go, don't worry, I'll Google it. Now all you've got to do is pick up your phone, you open up your notes page. Let's say if you know the number 16, you just click the link next to 16, and it opens up the Amazon page for that exact item. Immediately. So now you don't have to do anything. You didn't need to look at a crib. You didn't need to access that secret information. You didn't need to do anything from the audience's point of view. You pick this phone up and you literally just you clicking on it to search. You go, right, I've got it. Now you show it to somebody and you say, this is what I've searched for, and you put the phone in their hand. And you say, now think about this. You haven't written it down. You haven't told anybody. The receipts are still on the table here. You haven't had to look at any cribs or anything like that. From their point of view, it's impossible. And you just say, I don't want you to tell me what it is that you're thinking about. I just want you to have a look at my phone and what I've searched for on Amazon and freak out. And then they look at the phone and you search for the item that they literally thought of. That's an example of one of the things on there where you're not even using a crib. Yeah. You don't need to look at a crib. You don't need that secret information. And this is what I mean. We've dragged this age-old principle kicking and screaming into the 21st century. It's not about whether it's on receipts or not receipts. It's not about whether it's the binary principle or it's not the binary principle. It's about taking it and going, well, here's the best mentalists in the world and me. I'm a bit of an idiot, but I'm okay. All of these people, how can we take this and use modern mentalism techniques and modern magic techniques to create something that's very, very different? And using a mobile phone, no crib. Imagine that, no crib. They think of something off any receipt. You can put the receipts in your phone, but underneath your phone case. You take the receipts out, think of something. Have you got it? Brilliant. Thousands of different ways to do the sorting procedure. When you've got it, you've got a numerical value. You literally open up your phone, you put it on there. When they open it, they look at it. But I've shown that to magicians, and they think it's an app. It's not an app. It feels like it's some sort of weird magical app, but it's not. Yeah. It's just modern techniques combined with old techniques.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I shared my routine with it. My routine's a modular routine that can play to 2 or 3 people. If I play it to 3 people, the first thing I do is hand out a prediction, which one of them puts in their pocket. The second thing I have happen is someone think they're going to go, I tell them they're going to go shopping, they're going to go into a shopping mall, I'm going to give them $10,000 of imaginary money. They can buy whatever they want. They can buy a pair of shoes, they can buy a lollipop, they can buy a fridge freezer, a 3-piece suite, a new double bed. It's entirely up to them. They think of anything. And then I go to this other person, you're going to go shopping as well, but I've just given them 10,000 so you can have a tenner. You're going to choose one of these off the receipt. So they're going to go shopping for a tenner. And then basically I reveal the 2 things, and then the third person makes a selection from the receipts. And I'm not going to say exactly what the process is, but it ends up being that the prediction in their pocket matches the item that they've picked. Wow. And it's there's a few more things going on there, but that's how they will perceive everything. And there's no sleight of hand, I'm not saying we're switching stuff. It's just that I've added a deck of cards into it for the final bit, which is I think it's a really nice fun bit. And you could even do this bit separately as a stage type routine. It could be a great stage opener to do the third bit. But the great thing is the routine itself is modular. So you can pick any one of the 3 bits and join them together, and you've got a lovely sort of extended routine. It's great, and it allows you. The receipts themselves are a tool. That's the thing. Yeah. When you're a mentalist, you see the items as tools to get you somewhere. You know, you're going to know what they're thinking of. How you want to play that out is entirely up to you. Now, the benefit is you've now got Michael Murray, Craig Petty, Simon Lipkin, Pete Turner, all telling you different ways that you can go with that information. You know, and that's the thing. That's the thing.
I could spend hours talking about some of the stuff on here. Like, it was just insane. You know, Pete was talking about stage routines. We talked about how to combine it with a master prediction system. We talked about, Pete's got this amazing idea where there's a box on stage and he has somebody come up and he gets them to look through the receipts and think of a product. And then he gives them a purse at the beginning of the routine. And then what happens is at the end of the routine, after they've thought of this item, they look at the price of it on the receipt and he tips out the money and he says, hey, what would the change be from £10? And they work it out. And he tips out the money from the purse and it's the exact amount of change that would be. And then as a kicker, he opens up the box and he takes out the product that they're thinking of. Like, I remember saying to him, because we did the thing with Pete as a discussion between him and me. And I said to him at the time, this is the sort of thing that Darren Brown would do, Pete. This is like the sort of thing that you would see Darren Brown do. Just incredible. Absolutely. I could just talk forever about it, Pete. I really could. I'd just talk forever about it. Oh, you've gone. Yeah, your volume's gone. Pete, your volume's gone.
There you go. I'm back. I was going to say, we usually keep these to 30 minutes. We're now at near enough 50. So we're going to be wrapping this up in a moment. But, mate, I can't wait. And it's, like I said, the Edceight is a tool. You're getting loads of ways to use that tool on the video download. So it's a beautiful way of creating or knowing the information. That's the thing. And where you take that is entirely up to you.
And the price. I mean, Murphy's have priced it really well, I think. I know it's 25.
While you're on the phone, I don't know what the price is, but I'm going to go and check now. Hang on one second.
I know I'm pretty sure it's $25, but I don't know what that.
Let me have a little look. See, let's go here.
Ironically, it's just gone live on Murphy's.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at. I've gone to my favourite website, which is alakazam.co.uk. For anyone that doesn't know.
Is it £22?
£22.21, I believe. I'm just going to check something else out because we tend to have both Murphy's own price and our price comes up, and we usually stick with the cheaper, and ours is usually cheaper. So let me have a quick look here. We are going. Edceight.
I'm excited. I'm literally on the edge of my seat with this one.
Yep, it's taken a bit of time to load, but we are here. So it will be £22.21. Let me just change that. £22.21. What a great price.
For what you get, an 7 or 8 hour tutorial and all the props.
It's incredible. So, guys, if you're interested in that, it's now on our site for pre-order. You can go and grab one. The release date is Monday oh, my phone's off. What's the date today? It's the 3rd today, is it? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So it'll be Monday the 13th, I believe.
And right? not to be Monday the 13th, not to be all FOMO on this, because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to hype it up needlessly. I know the pre-sale has been really good on it. I don't know how long. I know that they've got a few in stock, but I don't know how many. So it's not. It could be one of those things. I don't think it'll be Quantum Deck where it literally sells out before it went live, but I have a feeling that it'll do very well.
It'll go pretty quick. It's a great idea, you know, to have an EDC like that you can carry around. For those that don't know, EDC, everyday carry, to have something like that you can carry around. It's a strong piece of mentalism. You've got a plethora of routines on there that you can pick from, but all you need to do is get them to think of any one of the items. You now obviously know what item it is. The receipts go away, and the rest of it is mind-to-mind mind reading with nothing there. Whether you read their mind and write it down on a pad, you can do a drawing dupe with what they're thinking of. You know, there's so many ways to reveal it. The whole process, that's the thing about mentalism. This whole process should be invisible. It's like when you get someone to think of a word from a book. The magic or the mind reading is not about the book. It's about the word that's up here. That's why my book test presentation is about creating a safe password. So the safest way to do it is open a book to any page, have a look at a long word, and then that will become your password. And it's got no relation or connection to you. No one could ever crack it. And then they close the book, and now it's nothing about the book. It's the item in their mind. And it's the same with this. It's sort of like a book test on some receipts. That's a nice thing. You're asking them to think of something, but they have got a free choice of choosing anything off any receipt. That's the other good thing.
No force at all. Yeah. And it's
great.
like you say, the receipts aren't even part of the process. Pete Turner has a great way of putting it when he does his tutorial. He says he gets to the point where he's done whatever he needs to do with the receipts, and he's like, throw them away like a grenade. They're not important. They are literally not important, you know, and treat them like they're not important, you know, because, you know, they're not. That's not the important part.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. Craig, thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. We are going to be seeing you again in another few weeks. So,
yeah. I think it's going to be, quite a few times. I know what's coming up.
You're going to end up being my co-host. It's literally going to end up just me and you.
Well, let's be honest. If I am your co-host, it's going to be an upgrade from Spellman. You know, so let's.
Yeah.
Please tell me he doesn't listen to this. I love you, Mark.
But no, honestly, Craig, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, you've got so much. You know, I know what you've got with us still to come out. And all that is killer. You tell me a lot of the stuff you've got with other people coming out. Once again, you are the most prolific creator in Magic today, without a shadow of a doubt. And everything is such high quality commercial magic. And long may it continue, mate, because this is what, I'm speaking as a magic dealer now. As a magic dealer, for me, it's great seeing something with your name on it, whether it's me that's released it, our good friends, the 1914, or Penguin. It doesn't matter who releases it. If it's got your name on it, it's coming into the shop. We're buying them in, you know, and that's the thing. And for a magic shop, we can't say that about many people. You know, there's a lot of hit and misses out there. I haven't seen one miss from you, and I know there won't be, because you put so much time, effort, energy into every product. And not only that, I know for a fact that you work the product for at least 6 months before you actually even consider approaching a company.
I still say that the weirdest experience I've ever had, Pete, was walking around in the summer working Elfin, because I knew you wanted to have it out for Christmas and we're filming it in November. So there's me in tropical temperatures walking around talking about the North Pole. That was the weirdest experience of my life.
I know, but you did it, and I was shocked when you said, "Yeah, I'm going to do a kit." I don't know if you were at House of Secrets or something, and you went, "I'm going to do Elf," and I went, "What are you talking about?" Everyone's going to be in t-shirts, mate. But no, it's great, and you know, you do a lot for the Magic community. You do a lot for everyone out there. I mean, you put loads of content. For anyone that doesn't know, there won't be anyone that doesn't know, but check out Craig's YouTube channel, Magic TV. There it is. Check it out, because you put up How I still can't believe this. How
27
many hours
videos
of
a week.
27 videos a week go up? 20. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want your phone pinging every 2 seconds with a brand new bit of content from Craig. But you've got, you've got everything. You've got a review show. You do shorts. You do trick performances. You do review show revisited. You do your hidden gems. And
Q&A,
obviously
match interviews every week with different people. I've got an interview this Saturday with Michael Murray.
Wow, that would be good. I mean, I've known Michael for years, and he's just gone from strength to strength to strength, and one of the nicest guys in magic, without a doubt. Solid guy, very clever thinker, great performer, and an all-round good egg, I would say.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing.
Brilliant.
Really good.
Well, Craig, I'm going to let you go because I do know for a fact you have just got back from filming, helping another creator out. So I'm going to let you go and see the family. But thank you so much for joining us right here on the Deep Dive.
You're more than welcome, mate. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. It'll be Blackpool. Come over to the Alakazam booth. I'm going to be hanging out there. Come and check out my new stuff. I've got petty cash. I've got apparition coin sets, and the first trick that I brought out is a co-trick with my son Ryland. It's mainly his trick, but I'm on there as well, which is Wild Cube. So I'll be there on the Alakazam stand, demming some of that stuff. So come and see it.
Top stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Craig Petty. Everyone at home, give him a round of applause. Craig, I'll see you soon, buddy.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
So, guys, thank you very much for joining us on today's Deep Dive. We will be back next Sunday at 9 a.m. So if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. If it ever decides to pop up, there it is. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time we go live. So until next week, have yourselves a great week, and we'll see you next week right here on the Deep Dive. See you soon.